If you're not failing, are you really trying? Trial and error.
Trial and errors, it's a part of growth.
It is growth.
Like you have to either have success to keep moving forward with that concept, idea, however you're running, whatever it is, opportunity. And then you also have to have failure to realize that's something to learn from.
Failure happens on the road to success.
If you're not failing, are you really trying?
No.
Right?
No, because if you're avoiding failure because you don't want to be rejected by other people or by your own
Or
standards.
playing it safe or
Playing it
finding
safe.
a comfortable way about business, it doesn't allow room for growth.
Welcome to the podcast dedicated to real estate, insurance, and building your business. Join us as we take you along our own business building journeys with additional wisdom from our network of local and national experts. Welcome to Bricks and Risk.
This episode is brought to you by Property Management Redefined. PMR is not just managing properties, they're creating partnerships that build long-term success for property owners. John and his team can be reached at manage@gopmr.com or by phone 267-753-6005. Tim,
Yes, Sean.
who's a good client for PMR?
Property Management Redefined is looking for property owners who value three things: accountability, reliability, and a results-driven approach. They want to maximize returns, but still provide client and tenant satisfaction.
There's a lot of property managers out there.
Yes, there are.
What does PMR do really well?
Biggest thing is they're seamless and they're worry-free. So with that approach in mind, it allows the property owner to put their trust in PMR and know that the results will be there. The other thing I think a property owner is really going to value because they do it so well is that they have a local expert team, boots on the ground, managing your properties and your tenants' expectations every day so that you feel good about your investments.
We have millions of listeners out there.
Tens of millions.
If they want more information, how do they find PMR?
Right here, guys. Reach out to John Sachs and his team at Property Management Redefined. They'll take good care of you. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bricks and Risk. I'm Timmy G.
And I'm Sean Mooney.
What's going on, man?
What's going on? Not too much. But before we get started, I did want to say that I looked at the YouTube stats recently.
Okay, where are we at?
23% viewership from subscribers. So what I'm going to ask, if you're watching this on YouTube,
wow. That's a good stat.
before we get started, go hit the button down below, get subscribed so you get all the feed, you get all the updates, and we'll see if we can bring that number up to a higher limit there.
Look at you with the subscribe shout out on the beginning of an episode.
Hey,
Not something we normally do, but I love it. Yeah, absolutely subscribe. It puts it in your feed, all the shorts.
Helps us learn more about the way that we're performing.
It's true.
And serving up better content for everyone that's watching out there.
Yeah, because the back end of YouTube, if you're unaware, it gives you everything. It gives you demographics, gives you what people are watching, why they're watching. So
23
drop
updates coming to YouTube. I don't know if you caught them.
no.
Terry, did you catch the update?
I did not catch the full update.
Man.
You mean you didn't catch all 23?
It was a drop. But one of the big ones now, they're incorporating collaborations on YouTube.
No way.
Yeah.
Like Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very smart. I love
that. So Young Junk,
Yo.
Bricks and Risk can collaborate on a video.
Let's link arms.
Yeah.
Good
So,
stuff.
A couple other good ones that they're popping out. It's what I see as a move towards more of a social platform.
Interesting.
Than just a video hosting.
Dude, that's super interesting.
Yep.
I love you.
Good stuff coming.
That's more your universe, not mine, but I love it.
Yeah.
Just the same.
It's awesome.
All right, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to be talking about advice in business.
Okay.
And
like good versus evil?
yeah, something like that. But, maybe some trappings along the way in terms of some bad advice that you've received.
Yep.
Business. maybe steered you into a direction that you were like, whoa, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Or maybe some good advice that, was fruitful and changed course of your direction of your business and, put you on a different path.
Awesome. I'll relate this to real estate to start. So again, in real estate, most people get a lot of advice from social media, YouTube, websites,
Gurus,
podcasts. 'Cause not every podcast has a visual like we do. So with people getting advice from everywhere,
yeah,
it's very easy.
you didn't even mention like if you're a realtor in an office getting,
I mean, it's like not, the in-person advice is just, a completely different animal.
right.
But let's talk about most people I feel like are getting advice these days from like either a social media platform
Yep.
or something like a YouTube, which, as you had just mentioned, is starting to take a social media approach, which I think is very smart.
Yep.
So let's talk about that to start, where if you're looking for advice, what happens is we start searching people on social media, and then we find someone, they say a couple things we jive with, and then we just start listening or watching like every day. And that's usually how it goes down today. It's how it goes down with me. I'm sure a lot of other people would agree with that. And in the real estate space specifically, I feel like it is extremely easy to just get advice that may or may not be a good fit for you. Now, we say good advice and bad advice. I'm not necessarily like judging the advice because everyone is different. Some people will look at the advice that I get and they're like, that's exactly what I need. And some people will also look at the advice that I get and say, I don't need that. So I think the perspective of just getting advice to you that may or may not work for you is super easy to happen these days. And it's very easy to just go down a rabbit hole with bad advice, let's say, something that's not a good fit for you and your business, especially if you're a real estate agent.
Well, I think
and just start building it that way.
I think one of the big issues is that when people give advice, they don't give advice that is based for the purpose of benefiting the person that they're giving advice to.
It's true.
It more comes from a place of, look at what I done. This is how I did it. This is how you should do it. And I think that's a high amount of advice that takes place and interchanges on a daily basis. And the problem with that is just because it worked for one doesn't mean it's a good fit and it's going to work for another person.
Right. Like the best example I can give is just trial and error in business. So you and I have both been through it. We've both been in business now for almost a quarter century, which is crazy. And I think understanding just any kind of advice you get, whether you're reading a book, whether you're looking at social media, whether you're watching a YouTube video, even watching a business show on like CNBC, like Shark Tank or something like that, favorite show on earth. Or like you said, just going into an office environment, or let's say like an event somewhere in the country, you're trying to get some training, you're trying to get some perspective, you want to network with people. It's so easy to just listen and hear and absorb what you get and just say, that's what I should do. And I think, and we'll get to this more like toward the end with some of our tips. And I think it's so easy to say, that's what I should do, because you don't really truly know where you're going yet and why. And you might work your entire career and never have definitive answers on either of those. So I'm not telling anyone that they got to know exactly where they're going and why, but I think that is probably one of the main culprits. It usually comes, as you said, they're putting advice out there for the masses so that the people that want to absorb it or feel like it will be a good fit for their business will absorb it. But then also there's casualties along the way.
Well, it's also too is you have the person giving the advice and it's, I took my business from $1 million to 10 million.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, that's what I want to do.
Right.
So now I just follow what that person did.
That's the playbook.
And then I get to 10 million.
I get to 10 million.
And along the way, it could prove out that, yes, this works for you. This is good. Or this isn't what I wanted at all.
Yep.
So, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt in terms of what's the end goal? What are you looking for? Looking at how to improve or what the end goal or result might want to be, and then finding the path that works for you individually.
Absolutely. All right. So let's do this. Here's one point I'd like to make. When you're absorbing advice, social media, anything, it doesn't matter. One thing you can ask yourself is this who I am aspiring to be like myself? Or maybe is this not someone I aspire to be like myself? And I think that can be taken in so many different ways. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole for like a half hour, like, personal preferences and stuff like that. But I think that's a really good question to ask yourself up front, because let's say it's someone that's pitching growth. Grow, grow, grow. This is how you grow. You don't have a business unless you grow, which is true. But there's slow organic growth, and there's super crazy gasoline-fueled fast growth, hyper growth. So growth is a very slippery slope in itself. And I think asking yourself, is this someone that I feel like I truly want to be personally and professionally, or is this not someone that I truly want to be like, will help you get closer to that spot of saying, where do I want to go and why? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always, if you start from a place, Simon Sinek, start with why.
Yep.
Why? Why do you want to grow? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? If the goal is centered around that and that's your starting place, I think that's going to guide and help people in a much better way in choosing the course that they want to go.
Remember we just did the episode about the Realtor Joneses?
Yeah.
And the first example I actually gave that in a normal voice. I didn't give it in my Mickey Mouse voice or the other strange voice that you thought was weird.
Right.
And the first point I made was, hey, Tim, you're at 5 million in volume. How'd you like to get to 10 million in volume?
Sorry, can
we go ahead and
AI and just put
can we pump up the volume on that? Because it was so money. You don't even know it.
Consider it done.
That's such a good example. The reason I want to give that particular example is like, who the hell said I want to go to 10 million? So the reason I made that example in the Realtor Joneses episode, which hasn't hit yet, but it will hit, is because it's so true. Someone's telling you where you should go and why. Not necessarily you saying to yourself, this is where I want to go and why. So to your point about Simon Sinek and the what's the name of that book? It's like Find Your Why, or it's just called, what's it called?
Start with Why.
Start with Why. And that's such a great book, even though I haven't read it, just on the philosophy of asking yourself why. So when you can actually take a step back, instead of just doing all day and being like, this is what I'm supposed to do because this is what I want to do or this is what I need to do, it's good to just take a step back, take a minute, take 5 minutes, take 3 hours out of your day and just say, why the hell am I doing this? Like, for one of the best examples I can always give is cold calling, because I hate cold calling. Mm-hmm. It's not my thing. Mm-hmm. But there are so many people in real estate as well as in insurance that love cold calling, meaning they may not love the act of doing it, but they love the end result of doing it. For me, I do not like the act of doing it, and I don't want the end result of doing it. I just don't want that. I'm a content marketer. So for me, that is something I want to do. And I've been doing this for 15 years now. That is the end result of what I want.
It's especially true for people new in business. If you take the example of a realtor, right? You don't know what you want.
You don't know what you want.
So you're out there, you're just getting started. You latch on to a group or you work with a team of realtors, mm-hmm. and, some of the big box shops are then telling you, this is what you should be doing. And this is the actionable steps that you should be taking because this is what you want, right? So they're saying you do this because you want this.
Right.
And so over time, you kind of learn, all right, well.
Trial and error.
Well, I don't want that, right? I want this. And if I want this, then I should be doing these steps, not those steps.
Yeah.
So early on, you're just kind of finding your way through business in general. And I did it with insurance, so it's the same exact thing. Really, any type of, let's call it like a sales job or sales position,
anything sales related, sales marketing,
or even outside of sales. I wouldn't even categorize it as something being specific to sales.
Yeah,
because you could be
a manager at a corporation and get amazing things.
So it's just finding, eventually coming to the spot where you say, I've done this, I've done that. People have told me that I should be doing this, and this is what the end goal should be.
I just went to this conference. They said I'm a moron for not doing this. Which some of them do tell you that.
But over time, it's to be revealed. Find your why, and then chart the course on how to get to that.
Hey everyone, this is Tim, your favorite Bricks and Risk co-host. But don't tell Sean. I hope you're enjoying this episode, and I'll get right back to it in a moment. Our audience grows through word of mouth, so if you would please take a moment of your time and give us a review on the platform you're on, that would be fantastic. Please also help spread the BNR word by sharing your favorite episode with a friend. We greatly appreciate your time and trust. Now, back to the show. All right, so one good exercise I think we can do is individually what we're going to do is we're going to go over like one good piece of advice that we've gotten that has helped us and like one bad piece of advice that has not helped us. And for the sake of, not crapping on anyone, I'm just going to give more general examples. So for me, I think one of the best pieces of advice or like total pieces of advice, like something in totality that I have done well with in the last couple of years are really social media advice. And the social media advice not only helped me when I was, one of the co-founders at Copper Hill and scaling that company and managing that company, but then also now that I've pivoted in the last year and a half to the Tim Garrity team, it's really helped me with where I am today, where I want my business to go, and why. And
so you're saying you're online, you're on social media, doing your scroll, looking at different real estate personalities that are giving tips?
It's mostly podcasts.
Okay.
But again, the real estate personalities lead to the podcast.
Right.
You find someone on social media, you find out they have a podcast, or you see a clip on social media from another podcast. You're like, I'm going to go check that out. So it's more like the discovery of podcasts through social media, I'd say, is where I get most of my tips.
I won't ask you for a bad one, but can you offer two that you may get dialed into that have helped?
In terms of podcasts?
Yeah, or something.
I'd say a good one recently that I started consuming is from BAM. It's called The Walkthrough. What's up, Eric Simon? And The Walkthrough is very, very dialed into social media. Mm-hmm. And the reason I want to give this particular example about social media advice is I don't use social media to necessarily get cold leads. I don't necessarily put social media out there thinking that someone's going to DM me or follow me and say, hey, can you help me sell my house? Can you help me buy a house? Can you help me invest in a house, rent a house, whatever? That's not why I do it. I do social media myself to actually like accentuate, to like make my brand perceived or received in a different way that someone wouldn't get from either shaking my hand in public or, listening to the podcast or doing business together or getting an email or getting a written note. Like these are all different things I do for my network. So the people in my network, in my, let's call it my sphere of influence, if you want to be specific, will watch my social media and just get to know me better or see what I'm doing. Like, where am I selling? Where am I renting? Why am I doing that? Where's my knowledge base? Like, how did I do on that listing? So getting that social media advice, not only at Copper Hill, but also now as the Tim Garrity team, has really helped me with figuring out how do I want to scale my business? Like, and why do I want to do that? And that's my good example. What's a good example for you? Actually, you know what? Why am I going good first? We might as well go half empty. And what's your bad advice?
I mean, that would just make a lot more sense.
Make a ton of sense, at least for me.
The pessimist in me, Philadelphian.
right.
So I think if we go back in time, some of the worst advice I got was initially in thinking about starting my agency.
Starting Mooney Insurance Brokers.
Right. And so...
Starting an agency itself or just starting an agency the way you did?
Both.
Okay.
So I think on the one hand, when I was thinking about doing it, because I've always had this like seed of a thought to start my own, right? And so in the beginning, trying to talk to as many people as possible. And it was very typical that you would get the response of, you don't want to do that.
Right. Like people almost like discouraging you.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Why would you do that?
No, yeah. That's the resounding comments or feedback or advice that I got initially was just that. It was, don't do that. You'll hate it. The chances of, it's funny, when I left my old position, my last position
your corporate W-2 job.
Yeah. I was given a letter. Maybe I'll bring it in. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we got to get that.
Of
were they just like crapping all over you?
It wasn't crapping. The tone of the letter was all of the reasons why I shouldn't leave.
No way.
Yeah.
Was it like, all right, so you give your notice. Is that what happened? You gave your notice and then you got a letter?
Yeah.
Or did you already like leave and then you got a letter?
No. So I was like, hey, I made the decision. I'm moving on. This is what I'm doing. And then it was like, what?
Yeah.
And then it was
mind's blown.
A letter stating why I shouldn't leave.
Get out of here.
And all of the reasons kind of centered around, you're not going to make it. You're not.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you must have loved that.
Yeah.
Like just throwing friggin' wood into the fire, into the furnace. You're like, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, and I'm sitting there thinking like, you really like.
Yeah. Like trying to chop you down.
It wasn't even, the tone wasn't chopping down. The tone was more like, you don't want to do this because you're not going to be able. It wasn't like, you stink, you're not going to succeed.
It's not like saying like you're not capable.
Right.
They were saying this is a bad idea, Sean.
Right.
Get that idea out of your head.
Yeah, like the industry, like where are you going to get new business? How are you going to staff? How are you going to do this?
Man.
How are you going to do that?
Oh, I freaking love this story.
Yeah. And so I still have it.
It's probably in a frame in your office.
Above my bed.
It's got like gold-plated like framing around it.
So that was part of the advice, let's call it bad, as to, why I shouldn't do this and why I shouldn't go out on my own and start an agency. And so that was the one voice, let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other voice being, you don't want to start an independent agency.
Independent is like, that's like suicide. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not coming back.
Yeah.
You're not coming back from war if you do that.
Yeah. So I guess once I made the decision, like, oh, I am doing it.
Right.
Okay, well, you're going to do it. Like, don't be an independent agent.
Right. So the first layer was don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Like captive, independent, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yep.
The second layer was, no, don't do it independently because these are the reasons why you're going to fail doing it independently.
Yeah.
Oh, I freaking love this story.
Yeah.
How have I never really heard this?
That's
why I have a podcast, folks. It all comes out.
That letter, I don't think I ever talked about it, but I guess just in conversation now that we bring it up, like was like, oh yeah,
it's great.
That bad advice.
All right, well, give me the good. I'll let you go to your good now.
So I think mine's kind of for good advice. I was always told early on, you kind of are who you hang around. You become the person who you spend the most time around, or who you're in the room with. That kind
like
of thing.
either like your environment or like your coworkers or your mentor or whoever.
Yep.
You know, it could be your siblings, your whatever.
Yep. So I was told early on by some pretty smart people that, when you take advice or you're talking to people, try to be around the people that are already 2 steps ahead of you.
Yep.
Concentrate on being around those people and talking to those people and gaining insights from those people that have already done it, that kind of took the path that you want to go
Yep.
and have been successful doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's one piece of advice that
Really good advice.
that I leaned on heavily and used throughout building the agency, that I had to focus on, that has really been helpful for me to try to get from one level to the next and ladder up with the agency.
We just had an episode that released with Corey Jacobson from Wealth Juice. What's up, man?
Corey.
And he made a really good example. And he said with his mentoring coaching business, they're not looking for the person who wants advice on how to build a 250 unit portfolio, because that's not where they are. They want the person who's like just getting started or like has 2 units, wants to get to 5.
They really get me the first deal.
Yeah.
Get me
the first deal and then help me.
Yeah.
Because they're at 80.
Right.
So they're like, all right, anywhere between 0 and 80, I've already done in different ways. And I'm sure they'd be like, yeah, maybe I wouldn't do 80 the way I did it, or maybe I wouldn't do it as fast, or maybe I wouldn't do it as diverse my portfolio.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
Right.
The point is going to someone that is like just a few steps ahead of you, but is also in the direction that you want to go.
Yeah.
Is fantastic advice.
Yeah.
I'll go with my bad advice.
Let's go bad.
I'll go glass half empty. It's like, I'm drinking my beer. I drank half of it. And I'm just like, someone's like, you need a beer? And I got half left. I'm like, of course I need a beer. I only got half a beer left.
Or a cara.
Or a cara. If I got half a beer left and someone says, you want it? I'm like, no, I'm good. I got half a beer. Case in point. So my bad advice came from a book. I'm not going to name the book.
Right.
But it was really in understanding kind of like the structure of a brokerage and or a team. So this is how you build it. Like, what happens in residential real estate if you're a solo agent, let's say, if you haven't gotten to this point, even if you have gotten to this point, if you're good at what you do, whether that's cold lead, warm lead generation, doesn't matter. You get to a scale of volume, even if you have like a transaction coordinator or a marketing manager, you just can't there's not enough hours in the day to service all the people who want you to help them with real estate. This is where the team model came in. It's also where the brokerage model came in decades and decades ago. It was all probably like individual people slinging deals. And then eventually they're just like, why don't we just start a company where we can all sit in a room together and we can sling deals together. So then they did that for decades and decades. And then the team model was spawned off of the brokerage model.
Right.
So the book was basically saying, this is what you should do if you want to scale your brokerage or team business.
I'm not going to ask you for the title of the book.
Yep.
Was it recommended to you by someone?
It was.
Was it an agent?
It was.
Like an experienced, successful agent?
Yeah, someone I knew said, did you ever read this? I said no, and they're like, it's a great book.
Okay.
Cool. So I read it.
At the time, what was your take on it?
At the time, I thought that was the way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I really read this book, and I'm like, this person's successful. This is making a lot of sense to me. At that point, I had already been like building out the brokerage.
Yeah.
So when we started Copper Hill, we were solo agents just going out trying to get market share on the street, get our signs on the street, meet another agent, bring them in, that kind of thing. And then eventually you get to a point where even that gets too busy and you're like, okay, how do we like scale this thing properly? So that's when I read this book. And at the time, I thought it was great advice. And then as I got toward the end of pivoting from Copper Hill, looking back on it now, it was terrible advice, but for me. It's not to say it won't work for someone else.
Sure.
But the advice to me was like, I don't want this huge brokerage. I don't want that. That's where I got to at the end of that. And I just said, I don't want any part of that. Now, again, maybe my mind changes in 5 to 10 years. I doubt it. Because for me, I had just gotten to a point where I was like, I've kind of done that. Like, we did a crazy amount of volume. Like, we brought in, by most people's standards, a lot of agents. You know, the culture was great. The brand was fantastic. So, like, we built something.
Yeah.
And it was great. But I think really at the end of it, I think the visions were kind of changing a little bit, which is really ultimately why, you know, people went separate ways. But for me, being where I am right now, I just look back on that book and I'm like, man, like, there are no regrets in my life at all. But I look at that as like, that was a terrible thing for me to read and buy into, because that's ultimately not the direction I wanted to go.
It didn't fit your persona.
Yeah, it's not where I wanted to go and why. It's the best way I can put it. Where do you want to go and why? Two very simple questions that are extremely difficult to answer. Like I said, you could live your whole life and not have an answer.
Where you want to go and why. That brings us into Trace.
Our top three.
Let's
Our
hit
Timmy
it.
G top three. All right. So the first piece of advice I'd like to share with the listeners and watchers is your career is measured in decades, not years. And this is really what I think hits home, as you said, the where do you want to go and why. I think everyone is just trying to get ahead, like every day, every week, every month, every year. If I'm not doing better tomorrow than I did today, or if I'm not doing better next year than I did the year before, I'm a failure.
Right.
And that's not true, because I've had 2.5 decades of my business career right now. I started out in the mortgage industry for almost a decade. That taught me a ton. And it helped me realize I didn't want to do mortgages anymore. So that was a good run. I got corporate America experience. I made a good living. I was passionate about my work. And then let's call it my second decade was really in becoming a solo agent and running a brokerage. And I did all that. And that taught me a ton.
Yep.
And now that I'm 5 years, let's call it into my third decade, I don't run the brokerage anymore. I run a very, very small team. I'm a full-time practicing agent. And that's taking me in it. Think about the podcast. The podcast, I feel like, was almost spawned from where I was in that decade to say, like, no, this is a great idea. Like, let's go share what we know. So that's really, you know, why I say measured in decades, not years.
Well, so much can change. You're not the person, you know, Terry just said earlier, I've been doing video for 25 years or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And where you are 20 years ago is not where you're going to be.
It's true.
20 years from there. So, like you said, you know, things will probably change. You probably not go back to the brokerage side of things, if I had to guess.
Probably not.
But who knows? Maybe there's an opportunity that comes about that really catches your interest. It's possible. But I think looking at it from year to year, you know, if next year is down, you can't look at that as a failure.
Right.
You have to learn from those instances, and nothing wrong with being critical of yourself and trying to figure out why is this year not as good as last or whatever it may be. But in looking at things in totality more than the micro.
Well, that brings us to number 2. Why don't you read that one? I feel like it was a total segue.
Trial and error.
Trial and errors, it's a part of growth.
It is growth.
Like, you have to either have success to keep moving forward with that concept, idea, however you're running, whatever it is, opportunity. And then you also have to have failure to realize that's something to learn from.
If you're not failing, are you really trying?
No.
Right?
No, because if you're avoiding failure because you don't want to be rejected by other people or by your own
Or
standards,
playing it safe or
playing it
finding
safe,
a comfortable way about business, it doesn't allow room for growth. And if you're not growing, you're dying.
and it's almost like I wouldn't even just say this is just professional. This is personal too. This is personally, people do different things. Like, people are single and then people get married and people have children and people retire. Like, trial and error is also good for your personal life because we all make mistakes. We make mistakes all the time in our regular lives. And then you're like, oh man, that was kind of a bonehead move. Why did I do that?
Does your wife say that you make mistakes?
Yes. Does yours? No. Good job, Katie. Keep propping this guy up.
Yeah. What time is it?
And
I can give you 7 in the last hour.
All right, so this brings us to number 3 tip, and it's a quote. I'm a big stoic guy. I'm into stoicism. And I actually got this.
What's a stoic?
A stoic are all like these old school like philosophers from like ancient times, like Greek, and there's different, I don't have the definition, but they're old school like people giving advice. And here was the quote.
I saw the movie 300. I know all about that.
You know everything about it. Here's the quote, the stoic quote.
Hit me.
Never forget that it takes very little to live a fulfilled and happy life, and that came from Marcus Aurelius. So the reason I wanted to share that quote is I think that hits home on the where and why. That if you know where you're going and you know why you're doing that, personally, professionally, or a combination of both, then you will start to understand this a little bit better, that maybe the happiness isn't money, or maybe the happiness isn't an award. Like maybe the happiness is just spending more time with your friends or family or whoever. So the reason I wanted to share that is I felt like it kind of like put into Timmy G perspective, which you're probably like, okay, yeah, enough with the corny stuff.
I should have been more prepared and bought my Chinese proverbs.
You should have. Next episode.
This quote really doesn't even say much. There's not even much to it. Like it's, but I think that's the point.
It's the point. It's simplicity.
Right. Is like, if you know where you're going and you choose that road and you stick to that road, then fulfillment can come because this is what you chose.
Exactly. It's almost like back to our like commitment episode. When commitment and consistency, we're talking about that, so it kind of hits home. But all right, why don't you go ahead and shut this one down?
More Stoics to come.
Yeah. I want these Chinese proverbs.
We're going to hit the Chinese proverbs for sure.
All right.
We talked about it when we teed off in the beginning of the show. Get subscribed to the channel. If you stayed on this long and you're not subscribed, what are we doing? Come on, people.
Come on, people.
Hit us up on the email, bricksandrisk@gmail.com. Shoot us a note. You can leave a review. Go to Apple Podcasts for that. We'll share it up on the show from time to time. You'll become a celebrity.
You will.
Find us on YouTube. We got a great LinkedIn group that we are about
almost 700
to hit 700.
Unbelievable. Thank you, everyone.
So we share some different videos that you won't find elsewhere on LinkedIn, and that's been a great tool for us to grow the community and to gain new followers and get our message out.
That's all I have for this one, folks. Thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Bricks and Risk. See you next week.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Bricks and Risk. Our goal is that you walk away with 1 or 2 valuable nuggets, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us today. You can find all BNR episodes on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast content. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.